Well, hello there. Who are you? Based on your vibe, a singer. Your blouse is loose. You're not here to be ogled, but those bracelets, they jangle. You like a little attention. Okay, I bite. You're not the standard insecure nymph hunting for Faulkner. You'll never finish. Too sun-kissed for Stephen King. Who will you buy?
Sorry.
You sound apologetic, like you're embarrassed to be a good girl, and you murmur your first word to me.
Hello.
First of all, is there a better time for this than right now? Just as Hailey has decided to sue YouTubers for making videos about her, and on top of that, Selena drops a song directed at her. We want to ride this wave and stay relevant to the lawsuit, so please share this with Hailey. It would mean a lot to us if she actually sued us. It might sound like an exaggeration, but if we really analyze her behavior, the similarities are unsettling. Let's take a deep dive into Hailey Bieber's mind and explore whether she is the female version of Joe from You, minus the body count, of course. Some of the information you'll hear by the end of this might make you think twice. Obsession, control, and identity construction. To compare these two figures, one fictional, one real, we first need to examine the key aspects that connect them. The defining trait that links Hailey Bieber and Joe Goldberg is obsession. That's the most obvious similarity, but it's far from the only one, and perhaps not even the most important one in this comparison. Obsession, from a psychological standpoint, is not just an intense attachment or a desire to be part of someone's life. It's often fueled by insecurity, a need for control, or even an attempt to construct one's own identity through another person. It's not about love, at least not love in a healthy sense. It's about power, validation, and control over a narrative. In Joe Goldberg's case, his obsession stems from an unrealistic idealization of his partners and a compulsive need to shape the relationship according to his own rules, regardless of the other person's will. He doesn't just love, he controls, manipulates, and engineers situations to ensure that his version of love remains intact. His compulsive drive to mold someone into his idealized version of a relationship is deeply rooted in his own insecurities and his desperate desire to eliminate uncertainty from his life. This is what makes Joe dangerous. His obsession is not rooted in genuine love, but in an unrelenting need to possess, to control, and to eliminate any perceived obstacles. His love is conditional, dependent on whether his partner fits the version he has created in his mind. If they deviate from that mold, he doesn't hesitate to correct them, or in extreme cases, remove them from existence altogether. But what happens when obsession isn't expressed through physical violence, but rather through calculated moves, strategic relationships, and psychological tactics? This is where Hailey Bieber's case becomes particularly interesting. While Hailey Bieber doesn't display Joe's violent tendencies, the psychological underpinnings of her behavior show striking similarities. She meticulously curated a path into Justin Bieber's life, ensuring she was always present, always relevant. Whether through her father's connections, mutual social circles, or strategic timing, she maintained proximity to Justin throughout the years. What appears to be sheer determination on the surface takes on a different tone when we consider the extent to which she seemed fixated. Not just on him, but on his entire world. It wasn't enough for her to just be a part of his life. She needed to merge into it, integrate into his reality, and eventually replace the person who had once held the most influence over him. Selena Gomez. A key component of obsession is identity construction. Joe Goldberg doesn't just fall in love. He reinvents himself based on the person he is obsessed with, absorbing their interests, molding himself into what he believes they desire, and ensuring that he is always the most significant presence in their world. He consumes their identity, making it part of his own. With Hailey Bieber, we see a similar pattern. She didn't just love Justin, she adopted elements of Selena's identity, aesthetic, and even career choices. Over the years, fans have pointed out her uncanny tendency to mirror Selena's fashion, quotes, music preferences, and even specific moments from Selena's life.
What's the one thing you wish people knew about you? And I said I wanted it to be my heart.
I wish people just knew my heart.
While this could be dismissed as coincidence or admiration, when observed as a pattern, it starts to resemble an attempt to rewrite history. To not just be with Justin, but to become the version of Justin's girl that was already established in the public eye. This need to curate an identity that aligns with the obsession is a defining trait of individuals who struggle with deep insecurities. They don't trust that they are enough as they are, so they construct a persona that they believe will secure their place in someone's life. In Hailey's case, that persona was eerily familiar. Joe Goldberg is infamous for shaping reality to fit his delusions, going to extreme lengths to ensure that nothing contradicts his version of events. Hailey's actions, though far less sinister, exhibit a similar determination. It wasn't just about being with Justin, it was about erasing the history that came before her and replacing it with a narrative where she was always meant to be the one.
It's my daughter Hailey. The third song? Yeah. We've been enjoying your music.
And the most chilling part, even after securing her place, the obsession didn't fade, it evolved. The Selena Gomez factor in Hailey Bieber's case, although far less extreme and without any criminal elements, we can observe certain patterns of obsessive behavior in how she gradually inserted herself into Justin's life. In a way, her obsession wasn't necessarily about Justin himself, but rather his connection to Selena, though this may have been suppressed or disguised as a pursuit of true love. The story begins back in 2009, when Justin Bieber was at the start of his career, promoting hits like One Time and One Less Lonely Girl. His appearance on the Today Show marked a turning point in his life.
Ladies and gentlemen, Justin Bieber.
Everybody in the DJ Tay James, everybody make some noise! When I say Justin, y'all say Bieber! Justin! Bieber! Justin! Bieber!
Because it was then, thanks to her father, actor Stephen Baldwin, that 13-year-old Hailey Baldwin got the chance to meet him. Like many teenage girls at the time, Hailey was likely thrilled about Justin, but what followed showed that her interest in him was anything but fleeting. Years later, Justin and Selena Gomez became the main focus of Hailey's fascination. On one hand, we have Joe, who tries to isolate every one of his obsessions. Hailey didn't do that. On the contrary, her behavior becomes strange when we consider that she publicly supported Justin and Selena's relationship, which leads us to a crucial question: was Hailey's true obsession ever really Justin Bieber? Joe and you used manipulative tactics, but even he didn't attempt to become a cheap replica of his target. His goal was possession, not transformation. Even after years of attempts, when she finally secured a relationship with him, she didn't seem entirely satisfied. It's not that she didn't love Justin, it's that he wasn't her primary obsession. But in doing so, Justin wasn't the center of her world because he was her ideal match. He was the tool through which she could claim what she truly wanted, the status Selena once held. One of the defining aspects of Joe Goldberg's story is his need to convince his obsession that he is the best and only choice. But real life isn't a TV show, and the past doesn't just disappear because someone wants it to. Selena Gomez recently released Don't Take It Personally, a song that immediately sparked theories that it was about her dynamic with Hailey Bieber. In the lyrics, Selena mimics the voice of the new girl singing, "We'll both know that he loves me." This passive-aggressive message sounds like something Joe Goldberg would say to the person he's trying to convince to step aside. But considering how long Hailey has been present in Justin's life, is it possible that these words were, at some point, actually spoken? Given Hailey's extensive efforts to secure her place in Justin's world, was it ever truly about him, or was it always about erasing Selena from the narrative? Joe always thinks he has won once he finally claims the person he has stalked and molded into his ideal. But as the show proves, his obsession never disappears, it just changes form. Once the chase is over, once the prize is in his hands, he realizes that reality can never live up to the fantasy he created in his mind. And so, instead of finding fulfillment, he finds doubt. Instead of feeling secure, he feels restless. The need for control doesn't fade, it just adapts, shifting into something even more insidious. The same question lingers here. If Justin Bieber was truly meant to be with Hailey, why does the past still haunt their relationship? Why, after all these years, does Hailey still seem to be defined by a shadow she can never outrun? Because Justin was never all she wanted. Over time, Hailey's obsession evolved from being obsessed with Justin and Selena as a couple, to wanting Justin for herself, to developing an unhealthy fixation on Selena. But even after she got what she wanted, it wasn't enough. Winning Justin wasn't the end goal, it was just a step towards something bigger. She needed to be better than Selena. She needed to erase her, replace her, and ultimately surpass her. And that's when the imitation began. It wasn't just admiration, it wasn't just coincidence. It was a pattern, a calculated effort to absorb and replicate Selena's essence. From using similar phrases to listening to the same music, to mimicking tattoos to wearing identical rings, Hailey gradually constructed her image by drawing from everything Selena had already done. This wasn't the behavior of someone who had simply moved on. This was the behavior of someone trying to rewrite history. But why? Why wasn't having Justin enough? Because for Hailey, Justin was never just Justin, he was a symbol, a trophy. A living, breathing validation that she had won. But even with the ring on her finger, the ghost of Selena Gomez lingered, and Hailey, despite everything, still seemed to feel the need to prove that she was now the one in control. Yet control is a fragile illusion. The more someone tries to mold reality to fit their ideal narrative, the more cracks begin to show. The harder they try to eliminate the past, the stronger its presence becomes. And in Hailey's case, the obsession that once revolved around claiming Justin morphed into something even more unsettling, becoming Selena's replacement. But as Joe Goldberg has proven time and time again, you can never truly replace someone. You can imitate them. You can wear their skin like a costume. You can absorb every aspect of their identity in the hopes that people will stop seeing the original. But deep down, you will always know the truth. And that is the most terrifying realization of all. So is Hailey Bieber the real-life Joe Goldberg? Not in the literal sense. She's not a serial killer. She doesn't have a secret cage in a basement, and she doesn't break the law in a traditional way. But obsession doesn't always manifest through violence. Sometimes it's far more subtle. It can be woven into the fabric of someone's life, disguised as love, determination, or ambition. And when we examine Hailey's obsessive tendencies, her pattern of imitation, and her desire to possess what once belonged to someone else, the parallels become eerie. Joe Goldberg is not just obsessed, he's a master of illusion. He constructs an idealized version of love, carefully crafting a world where everything aligns with his vision. But reality is never as neat as the stories we tell ourselves. The moment reality begins to contradict his fantasy, Joe reacts not by accepting it, but by manipulating and controlling it to fit his narrative. In his world, love isn't spontaneous, it's something to be engineered, maintained, and if necessary, enforced. And while Hailey Bieber doesn't have Joe's body count, she seems to share a similar mindset when it comes to shaping reality to fit a fantasy. She didn't just fall in love with Justin, she crafted a version of herself that ensured she would be seen as his perfect match. Her actions, her choices, and even the smallest details of her public persona seem to be in response to what came before her, as if she were constantly trying to rewrite history. Joe in You never actually loves his obsessions. He only wants to shape them to fit his narrative. He doesn't fall for real people, he falls for the version of them that exists in his mind. And Hailey, while existing in a completely different reality, may not have ended up in a fundamentally different place. She created the perfect image that was supposed to guarantee love, but that image never led to true, authentic connection. By copying, controlling, by reconstructing herself to match what she thought she needed to be, her idealized goal became an illusion. But what happens when you build an entire life on an illusion? Joe would say that love requires effort, strategy, and eliminating obstacles. Hailey might agree. She worked to become the version of herself that best fit into Justin's life. She made sure she was the one person who could give him stability when his world was falling apart. She didn't just want him. She wanted to be the version of Justin's girl that the world would accept. But in real life, love isn't about control. It isn't about rewriting the past or erasing the competition. Love is about acceptance, vulnerability, loving someone for who they truly are, not for what you think they should be. And in the end, one question remains: have Hailey and Justin truly gotten what they wanted, or have they simply taken another step in an endless game of perfection? If the answer is no, then their story isn't over. It's still unfolding. Just like Joe and Hailey, just like you waiting for season 5,